Good morning, I'm Susan Cousino. This is the office hour for Oregon State University PDC-PRO Summer 2023. This is call number 3, and the next lesson due is assignment 3 on August 7th.
Hello.
Good morning. Hey, Molly.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Good. I did see that you updated your client survey, which is awesome. Yes, I'm doing a bunch of catch up on marking this week. I'm trying to hit a really tight grant deadline this week, so I'm kind of underwater.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, okay, but it is on my radar for sure. So
All good. I appreciate that you're so fluid with your due dates.
oh yeah. I mean, it's an adult learning course. It's like it's really beneficial to hit the deadlines. I mean, for all of us, for everybody. But yeah, we don't take points off for late submissions. It's just that the more we find that the more students like get used to that like fluidity of like, oh, it doesn't really matter. There's no like, I'm not going to lose any points. Then you get further and further behind, and then it gets really hard to catch up. Like it sucks. I've had students at like lesson 8 or lesson 9, and they're like, I'm trying to finish. I'm like, that is a hard deadline.
That is, like, yes. Yeah.
My first cohort, I trusted somebody that was like, okay, you're like on to lesson 9, like you've been doing really well, you've been at every office hour. I'm like, okay, you're gonna do it for sure, right? Haven't heard from him since.
Oh
so,
gosh.
Yeah, I'm not doing that again.
Oh well.
Hi.
Hi. Is it warm where you are too?
Yeah, AC's on already.
Yeah. We're on the coast, so we're heating up. It's a little more temperate. And Molly, whereabouts are you exactly? I don't remember.
I am in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, that's right. You're okay. You're Salt Lake City.
Yeah. So luckily it's been like 95 for the last couple of days. It was in like the hundreds the last 2 weeks, but it's cooled off. So.
Oh, okay. I was like, so 95 is like not super hot, right? You're talking to a Canadian here, so just
yes. You're like, that's actually really hot.
It's really hot.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Have you guys gotten started with lesson 3? Are you hitting any bumps?
Yeah, I've gone through most of the reading and videos. I haven't started on the sector compass though, but
Okay. I wanted to check in and see. I don't really think I'm guessing that nobody's clicked like gone through to the Notion link, and I want to make sure that it works for you guys. But this I'll show you. I'll do share screen.
okay.
Okay. Now let me know. Yeah. Okay. So you should be able to see this now. So every time I mark an assignment, and I've gone through a few cohorts with this now, so it's getting to be more useful, it gets to be more useful every time I mark a set of assignments on it. But I keep notes on all the areas, like, on specific questions I answered that I'm pretty sure are going to apply to somebody else, either in that cohort or like down the road. So like there's some that are specific, like one is the school board, it was a school garden project, or it's a school site. So I know, like Kim, this might apply to you. Like, I know somebody else down the road is going to be designing some sort of a school inside of a school context. So I keep that one. But it's basically just answering questions that like I know come up pretty regularly. So if you ever get stuck, or you're like, think if you just want to have a gander at it and see if any of your questions get answered, or if there's like a useful tip, because I also drop in things that like when I start marking like 4 or 5 assignments and I see the same elements missing, I know it's gonna be missing in pretty much every assignment. And so some of the things are stuff that like, there's one, yeah, there's a few aspects on like the sector analysis that aren't, they're in the assignment section to mark for, but they're not actually, oh, they're not in the template, that's what it is. So making sure you've got those like specific points. Yes, Kim?
No, I was just agreeing. I'm just.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I try to keep in mind things like that I see students like missing over and over again, because then it's like, oh, it's either not clear enough on the template. So I'll drop it into these Notion sheets, which there's one for each assignment. And then I'll also let the instructors know, so that like the administration knows, so that they can update the template, or they can add an extra note in the assignment somewhere to make it clearer.
Where do we find this?
This is, so for every, I'm gonna stop this share. Okay, it's in the Google Doc. So for every, oh boy, just a second, let me do another share screen. This one. For every assignment, I've got a section in the Google Doc, and then I have this little blurb. There's 3 points. There's like where to post your assignment for the upcoming lesson. So that's a link direct to the discussion thread. I post the link to the recording once the recording's done, then I upload it there. And then put the link into this. And then this link never changes. So there's a link, you can view all of the video recordings, transcripts, Q&A in Notion. And so that's set to a public share. So if you just click on that, it should go. Should go. And this is accessible to anyone, even if you don't have Notion. So it should just show up as a web page. Oh, continue in your browser. There we go. Yeah, so then it'll just show up as a web page. So there's this is all of the office hour calls that have ever happened. But if you click on any one of these lessons, each one links to a lesson, then you can go to that. You just kind of follow the links around, but you can go to a specific page for each lesson and get tips on that. So you can just play around with that and find if you. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been curious how people are applying it to real life. If there are examples that like finished projects and how people are doing, if you're following students after, if there's a way of seeing that. I don't really know, like I look for permaculture in the area. Sometimes I think people probably practice it that way, but they don't brand it that way because it might be unknown. So there might just be like gardener, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like landscaping, they don't advertise themselves as a permaculture landscaping, but
Yeah.
I like to see examples of what students have done after they finish.
Yeah, I know Javin keeps a map of students, and I'm going to start doing that. I just haven't organized the link to make sure it actually works the first time, because I don't want to like get everyone to put their locations into a map and then have to redo it if I didn't do it. So I need to talk to Javin to see how we did that. Student sites, here we go. So Kim, where are you in Spain?
I'm in Long Beach in Portuguese band in Palo Verde. I'm in California.
Oh, I don't have your, yes, I do.
I think I named mine winter for some reason. I'm like, I'm there on the other side.
Oh, did you see it there? Oh, okay.
Oh.
I was looking for guests.
There, to the left, right. Oh, guest.
Am I missing? Oh, it's right here. Oh, I see. No, yeah, it didn't get into there. It should be in that folder.
What? I need to be named it somewhere.
Yeah, I just moved it. Okay. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so Heather Jo Flores of the Permaculture Women's Guild is in. Oh, okay. So you're not in Spain?
No.
Let me look again at this current
A
list.
couple hours commute.
Yeah, you are. You're like, I'm not gonna say close, but you're not that far. Who is it that's in Spain?
Lynette?
Lynette, thank you. It's Lynette Hillman. Yes, yes, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, she
I'm
has
sorry,
a
I was
school.
getting you guys mixed up. It's Lynette.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
She has a school project, pretty exciting.
But different than yours. Yeah. Okay. And so the other thing is that Lynette is on a school site, which is why,
Mhm.
okay, I got you guys a little bit mixed up there. So,
Mhm.
yeah, there's a couple students. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna start putting a map together. There are a couple of students from LA that I know I'm sure would love to connect with you.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, they were my last cohort. I can't think of prior to that, but I know for sure there was 2 in the last group that I'll connect you with, because they were both talking about wanting to have some sort of like a gathering and getting people together.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like I need help. Mine is a little, like my project is too big for me. I feel.
You're feeling overwhelmed?
No, this course is really good. The way it's gradual, it's step by step, it's deep. So I feel like I'm learning and not just, going, doing it fast. I liked it, but it'll take a lot to implement it all. We actually camped there last night. I just came back this morning. I took 2 of my kids. We just pitched a tent. And it was really nice, but it is just labor intensive walking up and down the hills. I was taking pictures and stuff, and just to do the work itself, planting, it's gonna be a lot for one person.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And especially when you're dealing with heat and like a largely undeveloped site, so you don't have, water already set up there and something. Yeah, it's a lot for sure.
And my other problem is, I'm wondering if you know anything about this, is we don't have a toilet. And that gets annoying after a few hours. I'm sure if there's workers there even, doing things to the soil. I looked into like composting toilets to set that up, but then I'm thinking about volume. Should I think like further down the line and have like a bigger capacity one, or are there nice ones? Are there?
I would start with, what we do when we go camping is we have a 5-gallon bucket composting toilet system at our house. Like we're full on in suburbia, and we still use our composting toilet because like I actually got to the point where I was like, it's really hard for me to use an indoor toilet, because I'm like, why would you do that in your house? It's like having a litter box. Like I literally got to a point, I'm like, why would you do this in the house? This is weird. And like, right, most people do. So just starting out with that, and you can build like a little screen around it, so you've got privacy. And then as long as you've got a source of like wood chips or wood shavings, like something that's really dry and carbon rich, then you can just use that. So if you want to leave something set up on site, you'd want to make sure that it's really well locked down, like from animals or anything. Like we've had sort of fluctuating rat problems because we have so much fruit, and our neighbors have fruit, and there's like a lot of little hiding spaces for them. But we've never had animals actually like be that interested. Like there's nothing really to interest them in it, So you can either set it up there and leave it there if there's going to be workers coming back and forth. And then you don't need any kind of water to deal with it, aside from like some sort of hand washing station. Or you can just bring the bucket with you, and like we bring an empty bucket with you can get these like flip top, they're toilet seats. You can get a plastic toilet seat. They used to sell them at Home Depot and at Lowe's. Yeah. So we just bring like the empty 5-gallon composting toilet bucket, and then another 5-gallon bucket full of sawdust or shavings or whatever we've got, and then like a coffee can with toilet paper. And that's it. And that's what we take camping with us. I mean, when we're car camping, obviously, but so that would be probably the easiest, fastest option. If you're just going out there and like staying overnight. If you want to do something longer term, you may need to look into, like, there's nothing, to my knowledge, there's nothing really permitted aside from like when you're in a house and you've installed like, you know, like one of these like big expensive composting toilets. I don't think you can have anything other than like an emergency backup toilet, but oh, oops, you know, you use your emergency backup toilet all the time. So you can actually build like a nice wooden base for it. You can make them quite nice. And I've been in some where it's a really nice setup. Like there's a wooden base with a proper toilet seat, and then, you know, it drops into a pit, and then the pit can be emptied. You can also drop it into like a 50-gallon drum. There's all different ways of doing that. So
Where would I read about, like, how much space I would need around it, or like space for digging it down? I guess you would rotate the areas, and like how far away from anything else I would keep that, I guess. What do you?
Well, you don't have any water. I mean, you don't have any water bodies there. No. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. If you're, you probably don't have much soil cover, I'm guessing. Yeah, okay. I just talked to a woman that needs a bunch of sanitation resources assembled for her. So let me organize that, and then I'll just copy it over like to the group, and I'll tag you in it so that you know it's there. I would start off with like, just like, do you have the Human Manure Handbook is a really good place to start, and it's a free PDF. Has been a free PDF. If it's not, let me know. I think I still have.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's free. The other thing that works really well for, yeah, I'll drop this link in the chat. That works really well for composting toilets is having it connected to a worm bin system. So,
Oh, really?
hi Marcella. Okay. So there's a handbook here, and then there's composting toilet resources. So I'm just dropping the link for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
We empty our composting toilet into a worm bin,
Okay.
and then let that cycle for a few months. And then when that's all completed, then we'll use it as compost, like on our fruit trees or out on the terraces and stuff. So,
okay. Cool.
And there's no smell. I mean, I shouldn't say there's no smell, but there's very little smell to it. Like, yeah, it doesn't smell like, if it smells like a dirty, like a latrine, then something's wrong. So you've either usually got enough carbon in it, or you've got too much liquid in it, which you can just solve by adding more woody material.
Yeah, I read one time that a family of 4 can, with their pea, can fertilize 1 acre or something with all the nitrogen. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's concentrated stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that specifically, but it doesn't surprise me. And it kind of depends like how much absorption you've got and how many, you know, what your what plants are growing, and like how much stuff you've got going on there. But yeah, I could see that would make sense.
Yeah, no, I just mean that it's actually like useful. It can be, it has a use, like an actual.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's a group there was a group in Vermont. Yeah, if you start using like human urine as fertilizer, you'll find all kinds of like blog posts and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, just if you just search that, you find lots and lots of resources. But like diluting it down is usually a good idea, and then spreading out because it's so concentrated. What was I gonna say about that? Yeah, if you've got it going into your composting toilet, I would make sure that you don't have a lot of liquid like sitting in the bucket, like if you go away or, you know, if you're not using it for a day or two, I would make sure that you don't have a bunch of liquid sitting in it, because that gets really anoxic, like it gets really nasty pretty quickly. So I haven't found a urine diversion system that I've really worked, especially for women. I just haven't. So I would much rather put a lot more sawdust in and just not worry about it than try and like create a diversion thing. When it was two adults, when it was just us two using the bucket, I think we would fill it in about a week. So that gives you an idea of like the capacity. So I don't know if that's all TMI, but it's like, yeah, it's very useful.
Cool.
And it's a really nice, rich fertilizer. It's super useful. Like I think I wish that dry toilets were not only permitted, but like actively encouraged somehow, especially in like, you know, in the West. Like it's just, it makes no sense to be flushing drinking water down the toilet. So right there. Okay, how are you doing, Marcela?
Fine. I wanted to let you know I'm very sorry for the for not complying on time, but I'm working on it right now, and I'm sure I'm gonna be on time for next assignment. So
Oh, you're fine. That's good. That's all fine.
yes, I just visited the design site this weekend, so I've gotta correct the lesson 2 assignment with the base map because the property is very big. So I was struggling on finding like the place to start. But now that I was there after the lessons, that I saw the material and I read the more information, so now I have like a more clear idea of where is the best place to start. So I'm just gonna start with that today.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yes. And I was struggling also with, I don't know if you have any references about water systems and rain catchments and water management strategies, because that's one of the biggest struggles for me. It's a very dry place, and also there is a water hole, but I don't think that's sustainable, and also it's very expensive to make the investigation necessary to make it work. So I'm like looking for information on water management strategies.
Okay, jog my memory on your site. Do you have existing buildings?
No, like
You
there's
don't.
just there's electric infrastructure available, but that's
Okay.
the only thing that is available.
Okay.
And it's right beside a rural town it's an agricultural space. So I don't know if you're familiar with ejidos, which are like this. I just wrote it there. It's like a government organization for rural people that work the land. So
Okay.
it's like a municipality, but for agricultural purposes. And they do have water holes. So that's how they live and they sustain themselves and the land. But it's part of the commonality. So I know I can get water if we invest in some like water tanks or something like that. But I was observing, and it's a place where it's dry, but still there's a lot of rain, and it's beside a lot of mountains. So I'm sure there's something that can be done with the right investments and the right planning.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add pictures in my presentation so you can see more references.
Yeah, I've got it open actually. I've got another screen to my left. It like, you know, it is where everything mirrors. Yeah, so
I have to update it. I have to update it. So I'm gonna be working on the presentation today. So I have the right pictures, and I can add some references with some explanations and details on what I'm talking about, so you can better visualize it.
Okay, so but have you changed your actual project site?
It's the same site, but the site is very, very big. So
It's like
now
1,300 acres, right?
Yes, it's very big. So I was there this weekend and I think I have like the right spots where the soil is right for planting, and also that there's a possibility of building a house there. And I was also in a very small town that is like 15 minutes away, where they build adobe blocks.
Mhm.
So I'm already starting to like connect everything, and I've got to update also the services that are available and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, okay. All right, cool. Yeah, natural building would be a great, I mean, that'd be a great
Yes, especially
opportunity.
because of the
Yeah.
weather. It's
Yeah.
very, very dry and hot during the summer.
Yeah. Well, and I'm assuming you've probably got a high clay content. Like your soil's really clay. Do you know? It's like sticky.
I was also going to ask you about that. I don't know how to define the soil.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Because you're in Mexico, I don't know what resources, like if there's any national soil maps. Because like in the US, where we have the USGS, I think there's some good resources in Canada, but other countries it gets trickier because there hasn't been like as comprehensive as like a soil survey done. But like when it gets wet there, does it tend to get like sticky and slimy, or is it more like sandy?
I think sticky and slimy.
It's
There's
probably
parts,
high
there's a
then.
lot of different ecotones. I think that's the word, like
Mhm.
very diverse ecosystems right beside going on. So
Okay.
there's a part where I'm sure it's good soil for planting. Actually, they are planting right now right beside the property, but they are tilling the soil and they do like industrial practices.
Okay.
But I know there's good quality soil because of that. And I have like a really good spot right beside where other people are planting.
Okay.
And I think it's also a good site, a good spot, because it's right in the middle of two mountains like this. So I'm sure it's something can be done to catch the water, or at least during some time of the year.
Okay. So I'm just pulling it up on Google Earth, which kind of takes a minute. It's like globe. I'm still getting used to using a second screen here. I'm just trying to see where you're at. Oh, it's so much easier just to
I
pull
can
your-
give you like the specific coordinates of the spot I'm telling you about.
Oh, I've got them. Oh, the one, sorry. I'm just looking for the whole property. Because if you're saying that you're at the kind of the valleys coming down.
Yeah, I don't know if it's updated, but you could
Okay.
actually see through Google Earth like the big circles of
Okay,
the.
I'm gonna just screen share. Okay, so can you see the little yellow pin?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, is that right? Is where that is?
Yes, that's right. And actually, those big circles are irrigation systems that
Yeah.
are quite industrial from past years. But
Okay.
right now, right there where the pin is, there's very good soil. And if you
Yeah.
go lower to you can see like a highway there.
Yeah.
There, right where your hand is right now, is where I think it's like the best place to build a house and start planting, because it's very good quality soil. Like, I have not done any tests or anything, but just like intuitively.
Yeah.
And those are the mountains I'm telling you
Yeah.
about, the
What an
water thing.
interesting formation.
It's a very,
Wow.
very mega diverse place. You have in the mountains like a forest of pine trees mixed with
Mhm.
a lot of cacti. It's very unique. I've never seen anywhere else like
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna add pictures of the vegetation so you can see.
So so you're basically at the bottom of the valley.
Yes,
You're like valley bottom.
yes.
So historically, there was like this river system, I'm guessing, like I'm kind of talking my way through it, so correct me if like you know something's wrong, like if I say something stupid.
No.
But is there like a river system that used to flow like through here?
Well, I think I can see some, I don't know the word in English, let me Google it. But I think it's like the other way around.
Oh,
Well,
like down
maybe
here.
you're correct, but I just don't know. But what I can see being
Oh.
there right now, there's a lot of like formations in the ground where you can see that water flows, and it's like going from north to south and from south to north. So with the mountain range, that is the biggest mountain range, that is like more to the right. Well, all that mountain range. And then the other smaller mountains that are to the north of the pin also,
Uh-huh.
I'm sure there's like, I can see it with my eyes right now. So I'm sure when it rains heavily, there's a lot of water flowing and you can actually see the passage of the water. So I was taking photographs, and I think the best option is talking to an expert that can better explain to me what can be done in the site.
Okay, do you know what goes on down here? Like, is that
I think
like,
those are highways.
okay, is there's some kind of a waterway that was there. And I'm guessing that flowed east to west. I'm trying to see, it's not giving me an elevation. Oh, wait, wait. Let me see. So generally, so that's 7.4. Generally dropping. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, right. So my question was that what I think you're looking at is that like this is the primary valley, it might be secondary valley, but basically a primary valley, like that all the water off of these peaks flows down to. So then over like geological time, you've got a whole bunch of like organic material that was deposited down here from these ridges, which is why that soil is so rich. That's why that's
Yes.
the agricultural area, right? Does that make
Yes.
sense? Like, does that
Yes,
sound
yes, yes, totally.
okay? Neat. These like arches of ridges are fascinating.
I know, it's a great place.
Yeah, it's just so.
It's
I
really,
saw
really
it in
beautiful.
your pictures. I'm like, huh, okay.
Yes, and I was kind of getting unmotivated because of the water issue, but I'm sure something can be done. I'm also involving my father in the project,
Okay.
and he's getting very motivated looking at the possibilities and the potential, because people in there only do industrial practices. So when you tell them like another idea or another solution, they are like, I don't think that's possible. Like, no, I don't think that's possible, because they are very like used to the other way of doing stuff. But it blows my mind. I was just there, and there were places. My design site is like fresh because of the pine trees and the water and everything that flows through the mountains. But if
Okay.
you get like a little drifting away, specifically in the town where I told you about the adobe bricks, they are planting potatoes, which are for like industrial potatoes, because then they go to Sabritas, which is a very big brand of junk chips. And it blows my mind how that's able to happen, because it's like lots of acres of nothing, like very dry terrain, and then suddenly a piece of potatoes growing there, and they are pumping the water from below, and they're adding lots of chemical stuff so that the pests don't go and ruin everything. But it's like, I just don't understand how that's possible, but it is. So
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
why I think it's a very good place for me to do the permaculture stuff so that other people can see other sustainable methods of fruit production.
Yeah, and you know, it's tough because like that might, you know, the best suited agriculture for that spot with that rainfall may not indeed be like growing potatoes and gardening.
I
something, you
know.
Like this is something that we struggle with because we live kind of like in a geographic sense. Oh, I'm not sharing anymore. You know, like we're up on kind of on a ridge like this overlooking the city, and we're over the Oxnard Plain, which is exactly like this, except that instead of more ocean, more ridges, well, you do kind of, you've got the Santa Monica Mountains here, but it's basically this. It's like an alluvial plain, you know, it used to be old delta. So it's super, like some of the world's like richest, deepest soils, right? Like that's why,
Mhm.
you know, we grow all the strawberries for the, you know, for multiple countries and all the things and stuff, right? But up where we are, we can't grow that. Like we can't, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. Like the soils are more eroded. They're more kind of hill slope soils. So there's different things that we can do, even though we're in like this like strawberry and like crop, like a row crop growing region. So you might find yourself as you go through the course looking at things like, oh, this is actually a better site for like, it might be like livestock, or it might be something more like dry land adapted based on the
Yes.
fact that you're not going to be pumping water out of the aquifer in order to sustain it, right? So
Yes.
like the Cuyama Valley up here in California is like, it became like alfalfa and carrots, but the aquifer is one of the most overdrawn basins in the US, like is in critical overdraft because they decided these like nice sandy sort of rich soils were perfect for growing carrots as long as they had unlimited water. But the region gets like 10 or 12 inches of rainfall a year. Like you've got 68, I think. Yeah, you've got 68 inches of rainfall and we've got like a tenth of that. So
Wow.
but yeah, I think that's an amazing site that you've got to work with. There's a little calculation. I want to make sure my number is right because
I think I miscalculated the amount of acres. I'm not very familiar with acres and I was measuring with square meters,
that's fine. Okay,
but I'm gonna correct that also.
okay.
And I think I'm just gonna do like another smaller map of the design site where I'm gonna be developing the project. I saw that you were recommending us to go big, like don't worry if it's a little too big for you, just for you to like design and do the work and exercise about like developing the project, but still it's very, very big, I think. So I think I'm gonna do like a smaller scale of the map so I can
and that's fine.
visualize.
So and yeah, that's fine. I think especially when you've got like, let's just run that number. When you've got that much area to work with or to think about, it's very quickly overwhelming. And you would never, except on an industrial scale, you would never wind up like farming that much. So on that scale, then you're thinking more, you'd be planning more for like livestock rotations and like, you know, whether you're leasing land out or you're like getting into the cattle business or sheep or something. It's a whole different scale. But if you're looking to grow, you know, veggies and like, you know, you want to have a house and a home garden and like even do some organic, you know, some gardening to sell to a local population or something, then you would be looking for like the best soils. But in that case, you still want to have sort of a bigger picture to see like, you know,
and possibilities of
site?
further development. Like if I want to homestead myself, it's gonna be small, but then like other stuff can start to happen around my project. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, you always start with the hub, like start with the center point, right? Yeah, you've got it right, 1,280 acres. Yeah, so that's fine. Do you use hectares at all?
Excuse me?
Do you use hectares?
I think so, yes. Yes, yes,
That would
yes.
be 518 hectares.
Yes. That's why I got confused because I was mixing up hectares with acres.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay,
still,
that's fine.
hectares are not familiar for my brain. Like I can only measure in square meters in my brain. So
Yeah, Canadian, I totally understand. I like, it has been such a mind bender to come down here and be like, square feet, okay, well, now I know like an acre is about 40,000 square feet, so it's like, okay, you've got a site that's 10,000, right, you're a quarter acre. Okay, now I can get it, but yeah, I've been here for a few years, it takes a while. Hi, Chelsea.
Hey.
Sorry, I wanted to welcome you, and we're kind
No,
of
you're good.
thing here. This is a handy little number that you guys, it probably won't be useful to you right off the bat. I want to make sure I got your rainfall right.
Susan, I was going to ask you about, I remember you mentioned something about the subject on the emails so that you can get like the email in the right place so that I can let you know when I finish with my lesson 2
Oh,
assignments.
just put like
OSU
OSU
PDC-PRO.
something, yeah, and it'll come up. Yeah.
So should I email you when I finish with my lesson 2 assignments with the base
That would be
map?
great. Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I am checking this week. I'm trying to hit a deadline that I promised I could have stuff done by, and it's not working out so well. Okay, so a really quick number that I'm working on a bunch of like rainwater harvesting, like farm rainwater harvesting projects, which you also asked about, Marcella. Don't let me lose that. If you multiply your inches of rainfall, so you've got, stop, let me go back. You've got millimeters of rainfall. So that's going to be, I think my math is wrong. So that's going to be 75 centimeters. So about 6 centimeters divided by 5 equals 30. So about 30 inches of rainfall. Okay. So then,
is that, I also don't know if that's like too little, a lot.
that sounds right. I mean, it's not much. It's semi-arid. It's like just semi-arid is typically, I think it's like 12 to 20 something. So it's like you're just above that. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I think you're technically classed as tropical. So anyway, whatever your number you have in inches, and I know there's a conversion for millimeters, and I will find it for you. I think you're the only one on this call that there's a conversion for centimeters, obviously. But if you times your rainfall in inches by 0.623, it gives you the number of gallons you can harvest off a square foot of roof.
On a square foot of roof.
Yeah, so I'll write this down because it's a really handy, I just drop it into my spreadsheets when I'm writing reports, and then it calculate, I can plug in their rainfall, I can plug in like the roof surface, because I always multiply it by like 0.8, because you don't ever get 100% efficiency off of a rainwater catchment. But if you multiply,
that can be very useful for the townspeople also.
Pardon me?
That can also be very useful for the people that live in the town beside.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Let me just see something. I just want to see something. No, honestly, if you calculate it by 0.5 or 0.6, you'd be fine. You'd be a conservative estimate. Multiplying your inches, it'll give you the amount of rain you can get off a square foot of roof area
during a year.
Yeah, during the year. So what I read in gallons, in US gallons. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So on a site like yours where you've got nothing to start with, if you want to get kind of, if you want to get started in like rainwater capture right off the bat, you can always throw up a pole shed. Maximize your roof space, minimize your structure. When you're done with it, I mean, I worked on a guy's property where we were turning we built the pole barn, and then a year or two later, they turned the pole barn into their house. And now it's like this beautiful home. And so it's like, you start with a structure. You can park your tractors under it. You can like turn it into livestock housing, whatever, but you've got rainwater catchment off of a roof. So you put like a metal roof on it, put a tank under it. I don't know for you guys you're not in an urban area. Typically, this will go for like everybody in a suburban area, you know, or a more regulated area. Typically, tanks under 5,000 don't need to be permitted. So, and 5,000 gallons is not a ton of water storage. But it sure beats the 50-gallon tanks that 50-gallon barrels that cities give away. You know, you still need to like level a pad and put like a good foundation under them, but you can get larger metal tanks, but then you have to get like a building permit. You have to go jump through a lot more hoops. So 5-gallon tank, we installed ours 7 or 8 years ago, and I think it was about $3,000 all in. So that was
okay.
like, with the infrastructure, you know, mind you, like we're in like Ventura County in California. So, you know, cost wise, like, I don't know if we were paying more for materials, but I mean, I'm sure you're going to find there's going to be a cost difference, but that for where we were at 7 or 8 years ago, that's what we ended up paying for 4,100 gallons of storage.
Okay.
And if we could put 2 in, we would. That's 1,000. We fill it off of 1,000 square feet of roof every winter. We also pump out of storm drains into like IBC too. Like we get as much water, like we just put it into every container that we can get when it is raining.
Yes, I think that's gonna be like the first solution. And then start to think about I don't know the word in English, and I tried to translate it, but I'm sure it's not right. Like the cañadas, where the water flows through when it rains, because there's a lot of passage of water, I'm sure, but I think it all goes to the industrial planting, because it's like this, and everyone is planting right here. So it's just a matter of capturing that runoff.
Yeah, so you might need to check on like water rights on that if there's somebody that's got, but I just wanted, we're at 20 after 11. I have to leave at 11:30. Chelsea, I wanted to check in with you if you had any specific questions, or you're just popping in.
I did have a few. Has everyone else had a chance to talk, or like, do other people have questions?
Marcella, are we at a good-ish stopping point?
No, yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
Okay, first I wanted to thank you on the feedback you gave me on those distorted pictures. I was kind of just I'd had a ton of problems with Google Earth, and I was just like, I just got to get this done. So I worked it out. I do know on an actual like design plan, it wouldn't have worked, but I wanted to ask you though, my county has a site that is better than Google Earth, but one of the problems I'm running into is both Google Earth and my county site for like my plot of land has outdated either stuff that was there that's been removed, or stuff that's been done since then that isn't there. So I decided a hand-drawn map would be probably my ideal way to go just for right now, since nothing's really accurate, and I felt like it was harder to like add a structure or remove things using either of those. So I was out of town, and I was able to use my county site for like a lot of measurements. And then last night I got home and went and did some more measuring, and I added another slide with the more measuring. So I'll kind of fine tune that. I ordered some graph paper, so I'll get it all like great. But I wanted to ask you, when you're doing a base map on paper, the main part of it should just be like property lines and permanent structures. Is that what you would say? And then as far as like layers go, are you doing another layer for like the hard landscaping, like rocks or retaining walls or sidewalks, and then another layer for like existing plants, and then another layer for new, like where do you, I don't know.
Yeah, where do you kind of parse that out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I typically would do, yeah, so like a hard base map of like what is not going to change.
Okay.
You know, like you're not moving your house, you're not moving your property boundary, hopefully.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, it does depend how much you want to break this down, but I would definitely have like a hardscaping map. So like driveway, yeah, large boulders that aren't going to get moved, stuff like that. Like
So
really
sidewalk,
hardscape.
retaining wall, driveway, existing structures would be on one, like the base map, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
as far as the overlays go, how many overlays do you have? Do you have?
Yeah, I mean, you could go with like, I mean, if you look around and you see a lot of stuff that you think you're going to change,
Mhm.
then pick out what you're going to keep, like,
Okay.
or get an idea of like, okay, like this tree or these trees for sure are going to stay,
Okay.
and then map that out. I would generally do a separate layer for stuff that's like, it might change, like shrubs, you know, lawn, whatever, if you've got lawn areas, stuff like that.
Okay.
I personally like to see a separate water layer that has like spigots, if
Okay.
you've got irrigation lines.
And on that layer, would I put the arrows where the water kind of goes to when it rains and off the roofs? That would be all on the same layer. Okay.
Yeah, that would make sense. for sure.
Okay. And then existing shrubs, like I'm not really planning to pull them out because I have a long, like really long property line. So we're trying to create privacy there. But if
Okay.
there's spots where we want to add in shrubs, or would I do that on a separate layer? So like existing shrubs would maybe be one layer, and then where we need to fill in would be another, or all in the same?
I wouldn't worry about it right now, because that's really
Okay.
getting into like, once we get into like the design phase and you've got like your
Okay.
soil types and your ecological survey,
Then we
you
can do that.
probably end up changing some of those decisions.
Okay.
So I would just hold off and we get to that later in the course when you're actually
Okay.
doing the design portion.
Okay. And then my other question is, let's see, for this scale, if I'm doing like a hand-drawn one on graph paper, what is like I mean, is it like 5 feet to every square seems like too little or a lot, or would I?
I'm trying to pull up your site here and I'm not.
I have it. Can you share a screen with me? I think
I can. I just need to find, here we go. I didn't have it saved for whatever reason.
Well, I didn't send you, since I've added this base map. I was in Alaska and I didn't have very good Wi-Fi. So I've added kind of a rough, really rough hand drawing on here on my Google Slides, but I haven't sent it to you.
Oh, that's fine, but it's in your presentation, right?
Yeah, it's in there, but I haven't sent it to you.
That's fine. You don't need to send every time when I open it, it shows me like the most recent version.
Oh, okay, perfect.
The reason that you guys need to post, I mean, you post the link actually is more for my convenience than anything, if I haven't bookmarked it.
Okay.
But when you post it into a graded discussion, then SpeedGrader is like, oh, you handed in your assignment. So sometimes when somebody's like just made a comment, then I'm like, actually maybe that might have been yours, I can't remember, but somebody like made a comment on something else, and so it looked like they had submitted their assignment, but they hadn't actually.
Okay.
So here we go. Okay. So now I'm going to bookmark this. So I don't really need to.
So this first slide is what I did when I was out of town off my county map, but on the second slide, I've added in where we've done a lot of changes since the county picture was taken.
Okay, I have to close down some programs.
Okay, so none of this is
there
to, well, some of this is to scale. I was able to measure after I realized I had drawn like the buildings a little bit too large or whatever. So I'll resolve that, but
Okay, so am I looking at your base map then?
Yeah, so slide
Oh, I see.
22
Gotcha.
is like my really rough one that I did from the county site when I was out of town. And then slide
Okay.
23, I've kind of measured and added in what I could since I got home yesterday. So
Okay, so I just so to answer your what is a meaningful scale. So you've got about 391.
yeah, so if I'm doing it on graph paper, the longest side of graph paper, I have to fit 396 feet into there. So I'm wondering is it gonna be too small to fit on like one piece of graph paper, or would I need to kind of make it go on two? I don't know what a
No, I think you'd be
normal
fine.
scale
If
is
you-
like. Okay,
Yeah, if you made it stand like 20 squares. you'd
Okay.
get- Yeah, or 20.
I didn't count how many squares were on the
Yeah,
graph
so you've
paper.
got 20 lines across here.
Uh-huh,
You said 396 feet.
yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry.
So I guess 396 divided by, did you say 20 is,
20,
or,
yeah, it's 19.8. So yeah,
Yeah.
20 squares.
so
So
is
just get 20 squares of
19
graph
feet,
paper.
is 19 feet per square okay? Because I feel like that's like, in 19 feet, I could fit a lot of plants or a lot of something. So I feel like the squares on my scale need to be like 3 or 4 feet or 5 feet or
Mhm.
something. 19 feels like it's too big for what I could technically fit into that when I'm in
Oh,
person.
yeah,
Does that
yeah,
make
yeah, I see. So, yeah, so 20, yeah, and go with an even number. It'll make your life easier. Go with an even number.
Okay,
So it goes 20. So yeah, if you 5 feet would be amazing if you could get either a giant sheet of graph paper or yeah, attach a few together, because then you've got something big to work on and that'll make it easier. So do you have like a drafting table or like a place where you can put that big of a map?
yeah, I do, I can.
Okay.
I could probably just do the tracing paper kind of really lightly, like tape it on when I'm putting like different areas of the space.
Yeah, even even 10 feet a square would be fine.
Okay. And then,
That would be plenty, yeah.
let's see, my other question. Oh, so as far as like supplies from here for the rest of the course, besides like graph and tracing paper and obviously like colored pencils and stuff, would you anticipate we're going to be needing other things that would be helpful to get and already have? I wasn't thinking, I mean, it makes sense now that we need graph paper. I just wasn't thinking about it.
Oh,
So,
well, yeah, I mean, most people aren't doing hand-drawn maps either, so that's not
okay.
even,
Okay.
which isn't criticizing in any way, just supplies. The only thing that really comes to mind is like you might want to check out the soil testing section, but there's not really anything. It's really like you need a jar and some
Okay.
dish soap.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. No,
not
that's
much
fine. I wanted
needed.
to make sure
Yeah.
it wasn't anything special. And then I have two
Yeah.
more quick questions. The iPhones now have like that HEIC format, and I noticed a lot of when I tried to put them into Google Slides, it doesn't accept that format.
No.
So that's probably just something I did switch it already, but some of my other older pictures.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
some of my
can
older
down-
pictures
oh,
were in
okay.
that other format and it wouldn't let me put them into Google Slides. So I had to like screenshot them and save them. It was a little bit of a headache, but I don't know if that's something they can like fix, if that's possible, or who I would talk to.
No, you can, yeah, it's not, that's not at our end, that's in, that's Google.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so the thing with the Hake photos is that they're actually a package. So you can download it downloads as a zip, and then you can extract the image
Okay.
from within that
Okay.
and then save that as a JPEG. And
Okay,
then
that's
you've got a format. So Google Slides will take like a JPEG, a PNG. The thing with doing a screenshot is usually you lose a lot of resolution.
And that's what I was having a problem with in that first part of the lesson. So, okay, my last super fast question, and we can answer this later. Have you ever used an olla like in areas of your property where you don't have, like I would have access to water, but not where I would be like wanting to have a sprinkler all the time turning on? But it's a spot that we don't want to dig for sprinkler lines because we may be doing some construction there later, but I would love to start getting some trees planted. So I wondered if you'd ever use that method of watering and if it's like pretty practical or if it works well.
Yeah, yeah, I've also seen it done on like fairly large olive orchards in like Jordan, like they had ollas like all over the place. So
Okay.
yeah, it is practical. I mean, finding the unglazed pots can probably be the hardest part of that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know somewhere here where they sell them
Okay.
and they have pretty big ones. I'll double
Yeah.
check, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard really good things about it. Yeah, I filled them. I've never actually like been on a property where we were like getting the pots and putting them out and everything. I've filled them
Yeah.
for people
Yeah.
on their sites and they work really
Okay.
well. So.
Do you know if you're planting like 2 trees, you just plant the Oya like between the 2 trees, like say they were in a line, it's just between every 2 trees kind of?
I would plant 1 per tree near the trunk.
1 per, okay, that's a good idea. Okay,
Because
okay,
otherwise
sorry.
you're gonna have, well, yeah, I mean, the ones on the end, you'd have roots just growing towards the center.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would put it close to the trunk because you'd also have a lot of dispersion sideways. So
okay,
you'd wind up losing some of that moisture.
okay, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, that was a lot of questions. I think that's
No, that's fine.
everything.
You may find conflicting information on that. If you, I mean, do some digging. I'm not super familiar with them and there may
Okay, I
be.
figured it might be worth a try if it,
Yeah.
we could just do an experiment and see if it works.
Yeah.
So, okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did anybody else have questions? Any of the rest of you have questions? No, you're all good? You got them answered?
Yeah.
Kim's just over there chilling in the AC.
Kind of wondering how to attach a PDF. I know you have to go, so
Sorry, go ahead. You were how to attach a PDF?
yeah, to my, because I have a news article I wanted to attach about like a landslide that happened. So, but I couldn't attach it to the Google slide.
I wonder if you could insert it.
Yeah, I don't know how to insert it. It wasn't, I couldn't insert it when I tried that.
You may have to, do you have a PDF editor?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Okay. I don't think like free Adobe Reader would do it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can find a way to extract those pages as JPEGs or
Oh,
PNG,
okay.
and then just upload the individual pages. How many pages is it?
There's 2 articles, they're like a few pages each. Yeah, it would be.
Okay. You could do like 2 pages on a slide or something, but
Okay.
or just extract like the information that's really that you're trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a good week.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay.
See
Bye.
you. Bye.